carryover, so that way if we don't get to it in January, February, we know that the same terms will apply until we do get to it.
Okay.
We want to amend the name to make sure it's the correct corporate representative. Johnny's termination provision, at least start with that as a proposal, and then end up probably somewhere in the middle where it's either an equal amount of days, or unless there's a safety issue, then we can terminate immediately and kick them out.
Right.
So that's what I have so far.
Did you say that if it's insolvent, the lease?
Yes, good catch. So if it's insolvent or if they dissolve, then it's an automatic termination. No notice necessary. I think that was one of Johnny's suggestions, paragraph 5, is that right?
It's down on number 8. Alterations was 8.
Okay, yeah.
Number 8
Yep.
on alterations.
You want to put a date in there, is that what, middle of October?
Well, it's already in the original on October 15th, I believe.
Okay,
And I basically was just, there was, the confusion of who out there was talking to Andy and whatnot. My recommendation was for them to appoint a representative, and instead of this being approved by Andy and the town council, remove the approved by town council and the utility superintendent, and add that the leasee appoints a representative of their organization that will request alterations or modifications to Andy as our representative, and Andy would bring their request to the town council at a regular scheduled meeting.
Yeah,
And
we
all
were gonna-
requests to alter or modify the leased property have to be voted on and approved by the town council. And add language that all improved modifications and any equipment installed become the property of the town of Atlanta at no charge to the town and cannot be removed unless voted on by the town council if they terminate or leave the premises.
yeah, that latter part is A-okay. I have one problem with the first part, and that is it could be seen as us preventing people from attending a public meeting.
No, they can attend a meeting. I mean,
Well, I understand, but if they can attend and then we do public comment, then they can't speak. It's just a little,
no, I mean, well, just put language in there that they're, they can, whoever they're from their organization would like to attend a meeting.
so I like that better. If we don't tell them that you have to pick a specific person, just a representative.
I'm just saying a representative to bring forth any
Yeah.
modifications to them, but if they want to come to the meeting at the time Andy's presenting to
If
the
it,
council,
yeah,
they're welcome.
if it's broad enough, so it's a representative and not one guy or gal.
Well, I thought
Yeah,
at the last
this-
meeting, we said that we were gonna leave Andy out of it and they were to come to the meeting and
Well, Andy requested to
represent.
be, I don't know if he still
Yeah.
feels the same way or not, but Andy requested that
He doesn't wanna be in it,
Well,
The council has to approve it anyway.
Yeah, I
So
mean-
whether it's Andy presenting it to you
so
or
they
them
can
directly,
have a
either way.
If
representative
they
come
wanna
up
talk,
here and
I'll
talk.
pass it along, but leave me out, just tell them that they need to come to you guys.
That's right.
ultimately, they'll have to anyway.
That's right.
So, I mean, you just,
Cut out the middleman.
well, the
Cause
only
he does
problem with
have a
that,
lot to do.
well, the only problem with that is who's going to represent us during the week and nobody's around to go out there and whenever they got something they want to change. They've already shoved our batting cage over and cut the pipes off and shoved it over. And there was no, right in our contract, that's a modification to our field that was already there. That was existing. Pipes are in the ground. They cut them off with a saw, and there's pipes sticking up like this, which is a safety issue to me, and they've got kids out there running around playing. And then they took a tractor and shoved the ends over and bent it. We had someone that was wanting to buy that for $700. Now we're out $700 and we've got a pile of scrap laying on the ground, and it's on private property, and that private property owner is mowing around it. And they just left it in a heap. Now there's no batting cage out there. We didn't approve that. That's part of the contract. They will get approval for modification. There's a breach of the contract already, and there's issues going on out there, and there is a representative that apparently knows construction. He knows different things that's going on out there, and he has contacted Andy. He wanted to have a meeting with Andy and go over some of the stuff that these contractors did. The things that Andy had brought forth to us and mentioned, and we've had conversations about that didn't really go anywhere. There's a representative out there that knows what he's looking at, and he disagrees with the way the Orange is doing construction. The dugouts doesn't meet our code, and they were aware of that. Andy told them to stop working on it. Andy's our building commissioner, and the dugouts required a permit, waived the permit. They went ahead and moved forward and built them anyway. Orange told their contractor to build them. They built them out of brackets that do not meet code, and the roofs are about ready to fall off of the things already. They're so wobbly with the brackets, and there's a representative, there's a person with Orange that looked at it. He disagreed with it. He says he knows that it's not in code. He's trying to get the contractor to come back and do stuff with them. So I think that we need to have somebody in their organization that knows they're approving stuff that they don't even know nothing about. He pointed out several issues that I had pointed out several times, and he wants to meet with Andy and go over that stuff because he knows Andy knows his business. He's building commissioner. So who's going to protect us and make sure that they're doing quality work? And we're not going to end up with a pile of junk out there that's put together, rigged together, good wind, our backstops, they put banners up at the top of the backstops and bent the backstop over.
I wondered what happened to that.
They put banners up there, didn't have enough wind holes through it, and it folded them in them high winds. And then they're out there playing ball with the backstop. They're out there playing with the high wind still going, and the banner was up there and the poles are leaning. There's just stuff like that.
Really, that wasn't, Bex paid for them, but that's not what Shannon told me. He told me they put them up because he called the manufacturer and asked him if they should have wind slots in. The manufacturer said no because it had a screen. And Shannon said that he didn't think they should put them up because he thought it would be too much. And he was right.
So these are 2 points. One, I mean, you can obviously cite them for all that stuff. If it violates code, then go for it.
I don't even have to cite them. I mean, it's going to be dealt with. I've talked to him about it.
Well, I recommend that you cite them so we have a paper record of what
We're
they're.
citing ourselves. We own it.
But they're responsible for paying for it pursuant to the lease. So you're not really citing yourself.
Will their insurance cover that?
That's the thing. Andy said that they're talking about looking at backstops and they're expensive. And they don't know if they can afford backstop replacement.
Will their insurance cover it?
I
We had a construction
think
guy out there
it's
the
on
other
our
day was
insurance.
talking
See,
to him
I don't
about
think
putting up a backstop.
their insurance doesn't cover, their insurance is liability insurance, doesn't cover the buildings. We insure the buildings. So the damage was done and it's either they somehow pay for it, we pay for it, or we turn it in on our insurance.
And we're gonna have insurance claims against us for getting our premiums up because we don't have anything in here to make them cover the property and stuff out there. Everything on them premises is still insured by the town of Atlanta.
Well-
And every claim's gonna go against us.
Can that be in this contract?
I don't know. And like I said, that's the type of thing, the reason with Andy being around, and if they would appoint someone that had some construction experience and whatnot, yeah, the whole organization can have their input, same as the board has input up here. And they have one person instead of 5 people trying to talk to Andy and saying, well, we were doing this, and another guy saying, no, we're doing that, and another guy saying, we're doing this. If they get together, have their little meetings, and they agree they want to have something changed or whatever, then that person comes to Andy.
Shannon's
Tells
who I've been
Andy-
dealing with, he's been out of town.
And then
for a job.
Andy brings it to us, and they can come to the meetings, and that way everybody is hearing it instead of one person, because apparently this Shannon McVeigh is the one that he disagrees with what has taken place out there and the shut dugouts, and he's aware that they didn't meet code, and someone else went out there and told the contractor to proceed after Andy told the contractor to stop. It didn't meet code. So we've got people out there that want to throw things together that they know is not correct. And now this Shannon wants to meet with the contractor and he's going to come back. They got him too high. They didn't bury the posts in the ground in the front.
Did you have a stop order when they did that, or did you just talk to the guy?
I just went out and verbally
Yeah.
talked to him, and the contractor's working on it. He said, yeah, he said, I know it is, but they told me to do it. And I said, we're gonna have to change them. So then he wanted to come up with this whole retrofit thing that was just rigging it. And I said, we're not doing that. It's gonna be code approved. So, I even did their homework for them. I found an acceptable anchor, concrete anchor that meets the code, that can be anchored into what's there and be compliant. When Shannon called me about it, that was the issue, because, which is their problem, not mine. I don't care how tall they are as long as they meet code, I really don't. But he was talking, they're too tall, but that's between them and their contractor, and the contractor didn't build it the way, Shannon's the one that drew the plan and submitted it. Contractor didn't build it the way he drew it, designed it, but I think the biggest kerfuffle came in with all of it because he was out of town. He was out for an extended period of time because of his job. And I think that's how it all transpired, and they're gonna be fixing it. I know I haven't heard any of the numbers, but they had a contractor, a fencing company of some sort out there the other day. Steve met with them to find out about the backstops, either fixing it, replacing it, or whatever they need to do. My only suggestion to them was, if you're gonna put banners on there, you better get really big poles, you know, because it is so windy out there, and especially, I mean, there's hardly any tree line now to the west, you know, you get a lot of wind.
Well, you know, and another thing too is that backstop was not completed. There's no top rail on it.
There was,
So that
it
we can
came
do.
off.
No, it was supposed to be completed and had fins on it that went over the field for pop flies, and it never got completed. So that's the reason that those poles were basically standing there individually, and they're not tied together with the top rail on them. So when they put that banner on, it's 3 individual poles that just took that wind and folded. And if it had to, you know, and they should have, whoever put that banner on there should have known that that banner would, you know, that poles would not withstand it without the proper poles being, you know, they may have had a better chance of, if it had been, that the top rail had been on there, or the wings over the top of the, holding those and supporting those pipes all as one. But, you know, it's just stuff like that that is the reason I want Andy out there, that he can see this kind of stuff and he can point out and say, you know, this can't, you know, this ain't gonna work, it's not gonna, you know, it's gonna tear things up, you know. Other than that, we ain't got anybody protecting us until it's too late. Like I said, we've already lost a batting cage out there, the backstop, we may end up having to pay for that out of our insurance. And, you know, they complained about wanting the roofs done, got the roofs done, and then they went out there and tore facer boards off and busted the sheeting on the brand new roof. They bent up the starter strip and everything else on brand new roofs, and, you know, I mean, it's just one thing after another. So I think that we gotta have somebody that's gonna go out and that's can oversee
That was
for,
on Shannon's list.
yeah.
He's having the contractor come back over the dugouts because.
So, right, so for the procedure and I recommend having, I think it's a good idea to have a procedure for requesting alterations. So we have something in writing that they requested and then the council approved. So if they then do it incorrectly, we have something we can show them,
I think
and recover for. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Ought to be brought before the
That's right.
council,
And I think that's right.
you know,
And we can say a
You know,
representative,
ordinances.
right. It has to be in compliance with code, and then we have to enforce it in writing, so that way if we do have to recover it, we have something to show.
You know, you know, like I say, instead of, and, you know, 3 or 4 different people out there talking to Andy and telling him different things, and then Andy telling him no, and then another one's
Right.
come in and go behind him and do it anyway, just like the dugout, for instance.
Yeah, so we can say, you know, at least 7 days before the subsequent council meeting, you have to present your proposal in writing to whomever, Andy, Robin, me, whatever you want. So that way we have it in writing, you guys can consider it, and if they want to amend it, they have to amend it in writing. And you can accept it or not. So I think that's a good suggestion.
Like I said, you know, my opinion, like I said, right now, for whatever reason, Andy and I are out there to try, supposedly, the rumor is we're trying to run these guys out of town, and we're the bad guys, and we're trying to find fault with anything and everything they do. That's not true, and I'm gonna sit up here and I'm gonna say it until I'm blue in the damn face. That is not my intention. My intention is to make sure that they do things out there and they do quality work, and we get quality buildings and dugouts and things that they are wanting to modify or change back when they decide to leave that property. You know, I don't want to have to go in behind them and have to fix all this big jacked up equipment and buildings and whatnot, because no one is out there overseeing what's being done. It still is the town property, and we own it, and we're going to continue to always own it. And if we don't have somebody out there overseeing what's going on, we're going to get what's going on right now. And, granted, they're doing things out there and they're improving it and making it look good, but the type of quality of work, we got somebody that's on their organization that is talking about how shoddy the work is, and he's going to get back with their contractors. So hopefully he can get something done, and, the contractor will stand good, but you don't know what it is, whether it's volunteer, donation, or what, and, it's like, I ain't coming back doing no more, then where we stand.
Yeah, so all the more reason, I think, to get all the requests for, like Toby said, for permanent alterations in writing. What's next?
Let's see, what do I have?
What about equipment and stuff, what stays and what?
You have to have, should we have a list of what our equipment is as
Yeah.
opposed to what their equipment is?
Yeah, I think we should maintain an inventory, and then
It's too late.
That way, if they should ever.
it's already intermingled.
They've already taken it. We went out
Okay.
there, all the coaching bags and all that, there's none of them left in there, and there was
Right.
equipment and stuff in there, it's gone. And nobody has a count on what was there,
Yeah.
because they wanted to take possession of it. We let them go out there, good faith, and now I don't know where it's at.
Right.
I don't know if they're using it, whether it's
Well, we can
just
always ask them
pitched it,
if they
thrown
can
it.
give us
Or
an
if they
inventory
were
of what
even
they
out there.
use.
He was out there when they took it, when they took over.
Cause I don't think we checked.
Andy
Did
was
we
out there and
check
seen the bags
Why
and the
didn't-
equipment.
before
They
they
did
took
count
it?
them.
I didn't take an inventory of it, but the stuff was there.
Yeah.
And it was in the, I didn't go through every individual
Right.
bag, I didn't count them, but yeah, all the bags were there, all that stuff was in the.
Upstairs.
When we went
And I
out
think
there,
that's something you can put in the contracts.
It was
It's
in the
the beginning of every year, inventory, what is the town's and what is yours?
Yeah.
Because then we have to, it helps us keep track. If we do get into a dispute, we know, okay, this is exactly because of the last inventory was done on January 3rd. This is what the town's, this is yours, and we can go forward from there, and all the permanent fixtures would stay with the property. So I think that, Toby, that's a good suggestion.
Were any of those bags dry rotted or anything?
Probably.
it could possibly,
They've been used, I mean, I don't know.
But they also
Yeah.
sat for, what, 3-4 years without being used.
and they-
So they
They were
could
in the
not,
building.
they might have thrown them out because they weren't any
They weren't
good.
usable, then maybe?
Well, the thing of it is, if they stay there 2-3 years, if they're not using our bases, and they
The
have a
bases
lead.
were damaged.
If we decide to have another ball team,
I saw
or the
that.
baseball team can afford to invest in new bases. It's no big thing for
Right.
bases. I mean, I'm not gonna
There might have been.
nitpick this thing to pieces,
Everything's piled in the corner of the building. I didn't go through it.
Now, if we had a valuable piece of equipment out there that I'm not aware of, then I think it should
Pitching
be
machine,
inventory.
and it's
Yeah.
done.
The mounds,
Yeah.
Is there anything left in the concession stand?
everything. Everything's there.
The one that-
Okay, Steve said it's all still there,
Okay.
Okay.
so I'll just tell him that.
Well, just tell them, say we're gonna, some we need to get together and do an inventory. Make an inventory list.
Yeah, it's not gonna be, I mean, I figured it wouldn't be a big deal for them.
We don't use it, it's just gear in there with umpire gear and some other miscellaneous things.
They could've moved it. Like I said, I didn't. That's the inventory.
Now, what is our recourse if, say, they have a breach of something in the contract? We don't want to terminate the contract completely, but we want them to bring that breach back into,
Yeah, we can do a-
Unbreachedness, so
Yeah, we
how
can
do
do a
we-
cure period.
Yeah.
We give them like however many, 15 days or
Yeah,
so to get into.
you've got to